Actually, 2 here in the NAL. Bans are already rolling. Beast Coast has the first and final one. They're going to chuck this first one as a target ban against Guerrera to knock out his blitz.
Poor Christian. He's not going to be allowed to play the game anymore. No potential to just run amok across the entirety of the map.
I'm unleashed.
and honestly, I mean, for Guerrera, you have to be happy about that. The fact that they're spot banning a coach, that's great.
To be fair, it was one of the most annoying parts of the setup the Beast Coast brought to bear in their matchup yesterday, so it's not too surprising. It's like, all right, we're not going to mess around with any of these shenanigans. We know you've got your pocket strat. We're not letting you deploy it here today. Rest of the bans making perfect sense, though, as we'll end up with a Thatcher followed up by a Mira, and finally a Valkyrie to round out the bans here for Border.
All right. Well, with that being said, we are finally into the map. So we'll see what Beast Coast want to start us off on, as we'll be starting on defense with Mirage on the offensive side of things. Ventilation Workshop will be our very first site, and we'll kick things off here. Also, we'll see what Beast Coast can possibly produce on their defensive end. They're going to be bringing quite a few cool things into this puzzle, especially with the cap can coming along for the ride of Drip. This has the potential to slow down Mirage early on, depending on if they actually run into any of those EDDs. If they find them early, it's still going to slow them down, so I'll have to check quite a few of the door frames, but hopefully enough for Beast Coast's sake, at least get one of them to go off.
We're more than likely going to see a fairly spread out setup here for Beast Coast, also due to the fact that they're playing into a downstairs hold. We'll need to extend their grasp into the second floor to attempt to delay out time. Seems like primarily inside of CCTV right now is the goal for Beast Coast, but that could all be changing, and more importantly, we'll get a better picture of that once the round actually gets started in a few moments here. So a few repicks coming out, mainly just moving away from the Zero and the Hibana, as it's not necessarily going to be needed for this site play. And actually the Zero again gets reswapped in, as we'll end up with a Lion play there for Guerrera and the Ace for Marm.
Beast Coast starting things off early. Sweater with a peek out of radio window, awaiting the cross from any Mirage member that's not suspecting this angle. But nothing to come of that, as Mirage is more than likely spawned in Valley, the most common spawn point in the entirety of Borders. We'll start to clear across the map with the drones and see where these Beast Coast members are currently residing. The big thing to notate here is a player inside of CCTV that more than likely Mirage will be running into soon enough. This is going to be a pretty good delay tactic here from BC.
Slash continuing to hold back here just on the inside of the CCTV position. Has his fallback, of course, and a retreat angle, too. But as you guys can see from the silhouettes, quite a bit of pressure broiling just on the outside of this from Mirage's end. They're going to try and force him or another member of Beast Coast's extended game out. Thankfully, it does not look like the presence is too strong. Tomas going to be able to sneak himself directly past this first doorway into CCTV, and might mean there's going to be a surprise waiting on the inside if that player was still there. But as you guys can see, he's fallen back. Okay, not fully, as Melted not only takes out the player holding this position, but his support as well, with a beautiful follow-up headshot on to Slash. Sweater even gets one more going here for Beast Coast, but it's quickly once again retraded by Melted, who gets his third kill on the round.
Fantastic clear from Mirage, backed up with the drone info. Beast Coast simply not having a read on what was coming at them, and they're punished severely. Surf now will back off into sight. It's him and Drip remaining inside of this 2 versus 4, and with Mirage bearing down on most of the angles around the site, this is looking quite risky either way that you slice it. EDDs, or EE1Ds rather, in for Guerrera, but it's actually going to be Thomas to lose his life next as Beast Coast gets that much closer to equalizing.
Beast Coast putting up a good fight here at the moment, but Mirage looking as well like they made some great impact, mainly off of Melted's play. Going to continue to see him finding some potential impact for the team as he does bring out the Gemini, which will now get spotted, of course, by Surf and taken out justly. But at the same time, they'll know that Surf knocked down, if, once again, the Gemini was paying attention there, that Nitro cell, and then he would have picked it back up. So they'll keep that in mind as they potentially go for the assault, and they still may have to deal with one more piece of utility from Surf when they try to work their way into the site. Aside from that, though, Mirage holding up here, wasting out some of that extra time they have because their early clear went off swimmingly. Now finally running out of it, we will need to see them move into the site. They seem to have good lockdowns on the positioning of both the remaining members of Beast Coast, but they do need to execute them out right. There's the first one. The trade comes in, and it's an EDD. Look,
they're both down.
Both of the attackers are down. Benji, the surge, where is
Drip, go!
Pull the adrenal surge
It's
out.
on cooldown.
It's on cooldown, John. No surge available,
oh
so
my God,
Benji gonna boost himself, but Drip, that's an audio cue for him, and an absolutely hilarious round goes into the favor of Beast Coast.
I got no analysts. What do I say?
I mean, like, it just like, Crazy like clown fiesta for those final like 20 seconds through all the fairly good play we had prior to that out the window, unfortunately.
The fact that Melted, it does all of this, here's my analysis. The fact that Mirage lost that round after Melted got away with so much on the top floor is asinine. Like, Beast Coast had a snowball's chance in hell that this actually went the way that they wanted it to, but it did. So now for Beast Coast, up one round off the back of an EDD gone awry for Mirage, as they will lose 2 members by being downed and not having access to their adrenal surge in the moment that they needed it.
It's a textbook case of how useful Capcan can be, though, inside of those kind of tense situations where you have less than 30 seconds on the clock remaining. If you hadn't cleared out those EDDs prior or were not actively paying attention to them, there's the mistake you can make where you walk into a doorway looking for players behind walls instead of devices behind the doorway. And as a result of that, in this specific case, it ends up very unfortunately costing Mirage the round. They're going to stick with what they bring to the table initially here for the most part. Guerrero will switch out via the repick over towards a Twitch, but aside from that, things are going to lock in from their initial picks. Starting to see what Beast Coast can do once again as they'll continue to spread their wings on an extended upstairs hold, but the site will shift itself slightly, of course, since they now have it locked in over towards Tellers.
And now, Mirage back out. See what this clear is going to look like. Drones in and see if we can find ourselves a Beast Coast member. As for the lineup that Mirage will be bringing, Garo will switch out for the Twitch, so we could see some newfound life for him if he wants to try and take an aggressive front, where we saw Melted kind of fill in that gap the time before. A quad kill for Melted inside of that first round as well, but as we'd seen, just was too far gone after a certain point. So now clear begins here. Very slow first minute, but now things starting to quickly pacing up, but nobody delivering the killing blow to the top floor just yet. The Gun 6 goes off to get rid of the castle, but they're not feeling too good about this push as of now.
Beast Coast being pressed back from their extension here due to the drone presence being exercised by Mirage. I say push back, that doesn't mean they're going to fall back entirely. We even see a late reinforcement coming in from their castle, currently being played by Drip, just to re-bunker things, working itself out of archive, so he won't have to worry about being soft breach there. He's got that little arch to play around too, so he's got a much more secure position. Mirage, in the meanwhile, though, working on accessing these rooms for themselves, have taken full control of archives. At least one of the players here inside of office as well is going to get swung back down through the hatch. Like you said, it's a very slow process here for Mirage. They still have a long way to go before they can even talk about getting themselves onto the site.
Given the circumstances, honestly, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Mostly because there's 8 reinforcements up here and no longer a surf on the stairwell, as Melted will melt him. And now they've gotten the advantage. Tommy will get one more, a Slash will fall, and Beast Coast, worse for wear, but have the opportunity to try and bounce back. Not before Melted delivers another death blow, though. Sweater to fall, Anthony's next, and it's all down to Drip to win out a 1vx situation yet again, but Tommy has the frag, and he's got the wave! Mirage looking pretty spicy, given the fact that they don't even have their full roster.
Yeah, we already saw some chit-chat between the two teams out the first round. Seems like it's heating up pretty quickly here now that Mirage finds the correspondence inside of round number 2. Melted specifically, man, having himself a crazy game here with 7 kills, I think it was, that if I caught on the scoreboard correctly, inside of 2 rounds. So if he's able to keep that type of performance up, Mirage might have a real chance here to take this all the way and look for a win for themselves, despite the fact that, again, they've got their coach filling in.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's really up to Mirage to try and build themselves around Melted, because he's going to have a round that comes up where he isn't as potent. And that's what Mirage really need at the current moment. So if somebody else can get hot before Melted starts to cool off just a bit, that would be so fantastic for their offensive side. But as of now, Beast Coast will head back down to Tellers here, see if they can potentially get this one for round 3. Also a switch up for them as well. Dropping the smoke, grabbing the Tachanka with that 6th pick, so they'll have him along for the ride. A little bit more denial when it comes to area of effect, just because of the amount that you actually get with Tachanka. 14 separate fire grenades, so it takes a little while to get through all of those.
A few more repicks coming in, mainly just to change up some slight things for the attacking lineup. Benji bringing in the Sledge, and I believe either the Flores or the Yana were repicked in as well. Didn't catch exactly which one it was as I peered at it just as the timer was expiring. But once again, Mirage using that a little bit here to custom tune their lineup for this attack, as they are going to be rerunning the previous round here. We can see once again that Beast Coast has chosen to go into the Teller's site, and this time they're going to get off to a much better start. Surf just barely winning that opening engagement against Melted. You can see his HP is just down to a sliver now, but regardless, manages to knock out easily the most powerful member of Mirage. Mirage, and that's going to leave them as a shell of their former selves in terms of their entry capability.
That's a callback to what we were talking about moments ago, John. Now for Mirage, they have to try and get something done, lacking Melted. So it's going to be up to the firepower of these Mirage members, and a fantastic nade to lead them off as he'll take down Surf. He's bleeding out and crawling into jungle. We'll see if potentially a BC member can get around and pick him up, but more than likely not going to be the case. As for Mirage, they're seeing if they can potentially find a different way to start giving some different looks towards the bottom end of this map. Gara will start to poise himself around Passport. Benji working the walls currently inside of stock. This is going to give them so many angles around this bottom floor. It's going to make things quite complicated unless he hops directly into Drip's side. And speaking of which, it looks like Beast Coast are able to fight back. Drip will go down, though. He's on a pretty forward position that Thomas is able to exploit.
Longest blood trails I've ever seen there from Surf's now dead body. They did need to commit a second nade, by the way, to take him out, so Mirage are going to be feeling that as they're very weak on both utility and player count now. All the ones that would have still had frags in their pocket are now dead on the ground, so just the 3 breaching charges on Marm, and then 3 flashes for Tommy to try and flood out one of these rooms here. Breaching charges might become useful, of course, since we're still playing against a castle here, so reason indeed that Marm may still need to use those at some later point in the round, but things are looking bleak here. So they're down to the 2v3. And they're still looking for access for the clear on the second floor, let alone making that transition down to the first where they can actually get themselves into the site. That's not even to mention, of course, this position from Sweater, but Thomas reads into it beautifully, knocks him out. Sweater, unfortunately, going to be punished for taking too aggressive of a position, and now this is an even fight. Down to a 2v2, but no longer as Anthony surprises Thomas from upstairs in the office and leaves Marm as the last player standing.
It's a great play from Tommy as he was able to isolate off some BC members, but now it's a 1 versus 2 for Marm. She has the case in hand, but no ability to gather any extra info. She'll get rid of the Banshee and has one currently inside of stalls. Worrisome at best, especially with the Evil Eye over the top here. Able to eventually get some shots on. She'll take down Slash. And with 13 seconds remaining, she'll begin her plant. Anthony has a potential cover here, but not able to actually make the holes in any convincing way. He can't find this, and Marmalade, she has an opportunity right around the angle. She knows that he's dropped, but will she swing into this? Ill-advised if she does, especially with Anthony bearing down on this location. She'll tag him through the wall, but with the destruction of this LMG, Anthony can more than likely keep track of her. That Evil Eye that we talked about earlier, it gives the information, but it doesn't matter. Talk now, Beast Coast, is what Marmalade says as Mirage gather their second round.
Another massive win coming out from the Mirage camp as they snipe away another round, the one that looked like it was going to go into Beast Coast's hands convincingly, but despite the odds, despite the circumstances, Mirage are better under these scenarios and are able to bring it back under their own control with a great clutch from Marm in the 1v2, playing off the intel from her teammates, as well as all the other action bleeding up until that point. A misstep from Beast Coast as they get a little bit too aggressive with their own positioning, ends up costing them the round, and now the lead at a 1-2 deficit.
Yeah, move shaker, playmaker, Marmalade. Never saw that one coming inside of that situation, I'll be honest with you, but I'm glad that it happened. Not only, due to how things have been building up to this point inside of the game, you always got to have some good banter to send back, and what better banter than taking the round away from your opponent, I always say. But for Marmalade, I mean, that's got to be a confidence booster going into this, and that's exactly what Mirage needs. They need everybody to have that confident front. I mean, as we'd seen with their bench initially for the game, before the game had even started, everybody was all smiles. They're pretty happy to just be here and be a part of the NAL and actually be able to, do what they do for a living. So it's very nice to see them find some success here inside of this game, at least as of right now.
So we can see here for Sweater. He's going to continue to lean out here on this jump window, but not going to be able to find anyone spawning in from Mirage just yet. So no opportunity coming out for Beast Coast there. For the rest of BC, however, I continue to see them try and look for opportunities to poke in at the initial aggression from Mirage. We already saw what would happen if you knock out Melton in the previous round. Well, honestly, not that much, as Mirage were still able to make up the difference anyway due to the great play from Marm as well as Tomas over the course of that round. Going to be fairly slow built up here, though. A lot of potential engagements, but none actually transpiring. As Beast Coast nor Mirage don't have the courage just yet to sneak out and try to take any of these engagements head on. They're trying to build up towards it and make sure, for Mirage at least, they have the appropriate amount of angles controlled before they try to swing in against someone.
Quite a bit of poking and prodding here from Mirage to discover any of these Beast Coast players around the armory space at the current moment. Drones won't find too much as the initial clear goes off without a hitch. There's a potential of a nitro cell to be played in from Drip here as well down low. More than likely, though, it'll be down to Mirage to lock this up soon enough with some sledge play from Tommy. For Beast Coast, everyone is on the bottom floor, playing things pretty close to the chest, although they will be worried about the access points like the metal stairwell in the center of the map.
Drip and the rest of Beast Coast here, continuing to play this back passively, actively avoiding engagements with Mirage as they are slowly thrust upon them. And you can see this once again, Beast Coast just slowly tapping away as they try to back themselves further and further into a corner closer to the sites. Only, of course, handing that control over to Mirage. We can see the top archives control now going over towards the Mirage roster as they try to open up the top downs for themselves. It gives them a good POV into the site itself. Still a little over a minute to go. So Mirage also doing great on time while they try to set this up. Looks like they'll exit their position above lockers and now start to potentially flirt with a front door or window hop in to take the small room and get a plant.
With all this verticality, it's going to be so hard for Beast Coast to try and fight back, especially lacking utility. Anthony trying to smoke things off. He's pushing through, but he'll get gunned down as Marmalade will more than likely be able to secure the plant off the back of these efforts. Yarrow with a fantastic kill. He'll break the double for jungle as well and see if he can continue keeping on as Anthony tries to go through the rotate. Doesn't have to worry about the vertical angle as of right now, at least, as Mirage aren't really in the area. Tommy is, but just watching something else for the time being. All of these crosses have been established by Mirage, and it's looking like there's really no chance for Beast Coast to get much done. Anthony to fall, Drip now all alone yet again here to try and win out a 1v5 situation. More than likely a flawless round on the way for Mirage, and as I say that, Guerra will step up to the plate, get gunned down, but Drip is
for them on the outset of this first half. 2 more rounds as well on this attacking side to really try and lock in this lead. So 4-2, potentially even a 5-1, certainly in the cards, and this is before Mirage even step onto the defensive side. So we'll see what they bring to bear once again. Is going to be a different site played out here as we shift one more time from Beast Coast to try something different as they'll work their way over here into the passport office to try and see if maybe, just maybe, this will finally yield some results for them, as we saw a great amount of control being exercised by them in prior rounds over towards the CCTV room. They know they want to play into this extension, but how well can they hold on to it as they've been timid to really take any of these early fights versus Mirage, oftentimes just maintaining the position, putting down a few reinforcements and pieces of utility, but never really being able to justify an actual fight. And we're usually seeing those players back away before anyone from Mirage even enters the room.
Yeah, it's made it very difficult for them to try and take any existing map control away from Mirage as well, because we've seen their potential to try and rotate back into Mirage and get some kills about, in the mid round. It just hasn't worked out for Beast Coast. I mean, the only round that they've gotten is off of a freak EDD that took out 2 people. So now for Mirage, and more specifically actually for Beast Coast, you have to try and switch some things up, and that's more than likely what the tactical timeout was about, was what the adjustments they could make to try and take it to Mirage, because they've been very cool, calm, and collected this entire time. We haven't seen Mirage really try and just send it at Beast Coast. It's been very decisive gameplay thus far.
We've had about a 3 to 4 player team working on clearing out the CCTV presence here, currently being played by Slash. He's got support from at least one other member of his squad, if not 2, depending on how heavily Beast Coast wanted to commit themselves to this. You can see Sweater way off, not necessarily in a trade position, but can assist with this fight if he's able to rotate himself quickly enough here. Melted getting ready to open this up, and oh, look at this entry from Melted. It's so smooth, following up right behind the sledgehammer, and immediately he hunts down Drip. Now the team getting ready for more, but they're not going to expect Anthony sitting inside of archives. He gets 1 surf, chucks in a nitro to get a 2nd, and now Beast Coast are fighting back.
Big problem now for Mirage. They've awakened the beast, and they're coming for their neck now. They've lost 2 people, and the potential to lose even more with this top floor execute that they're currently looking into. Slash seemingly adding some utility to the situation downstairs inside of detention, but that really isn't where the action's happening right now. Mirage have been boxed out of most of the important parts of the map at the current moment, but finally Benji will step back into Armory. The big issue with this is, though, that there's no other Mirage members universe seemingly around him at the current moment. I'm going to try and reset. Marmalade's still outside and repel, and so is Christian, as they had a bead for just a second on, I believe, Slash playing in this space. The Z ping out. He'll cross, and he'll make it through easily with that explosion going off in the back.
Really saving his butt under those circumstances. Sweater in the meanwhile shutting down the rest of this attack. A double kill coming out for them. And that leaves Guerrera alone here. The fill-in potentially needing to clutch this out, but not even going to come close. Slash swings out from the inside of the the inside of the server room, and is able to shut him down with one final shot to his face. Another round finally going into the pockets of Beast Coast as they start to come back here at 2-3.
So we kind of had it on display what the conversation was about for Beast Coast, and it was simply, let's try and take the fight in the mid round to them while they're gathering their control on the top floor, and it worked out swimmingly for them. Right when they challenge in, the Sledge isn't even paying attention to anybody potentially swinging archives. They're not ready for the nitro cell underneath. Mirage assumed that it was free space past the initial frag that we saw out of Melted, but it was surely not, as Beast Coast had layers to that setup.
Let's see if Beast Coast can add a few more layers now, as they're going to be returning to that server setup for themselves, as well as the closet sitting next to it. Will lead them to extend once again over inside of Archives. We saw them try to play this before, especially on their Teller setup, but once again, this is a part of the map where they kind of had to give up that room and try to fight inside of the site, to little to no success in the closing moments of the round here. We did see, however, at the very beginning of this game, this is where Beast Coast was able to pull off that kind of Alamo moment for themselves and hold on in the 2v2, winning it out mainly because of the nice EDD placement that took down the last two players on Mirage. So you're not going to rely on a play like that twice, though. In fact, we don't even have the cap can selected here for Beast Coast. They got away with it once, not necessarily expecting to do so twice. We do have Frost, though. That's come into play for Slash.
Well, we'll see if potentially someone loses their ankles in this round then, with a unsuspecting welcome mat under a door, or potentially just playing too quickly like we'd seen previously with the EDD fiasco. But now for Mirage, back out and about. They've already lost quite a few drones though, actually, as they've already lost 3. All of Marm's drones are gone. Benji's down a drone, so now to try and figure out their way around Slash's current positioning, as he's back where he was originally inside of CCTV with the hatch open. This time, though, obviously on the Frost. He'll drop back downstairs to play this out safely. Melted will take down Sweater, and Mirage are starting things off strong.
Melted continuing to wreak havoc as he tries to lock it on another player, and nearly
Marm's
is
down.
able to align the ankle, and that's unfortunate for Marm, as she is going to walk directly into that Frost trap and end up getting herself down by it. Yeah, we did have Surf inching closer to it, as we could see there from the top down, but thankfully on a different floor, it's not going to be able to approach Marm. They'll get the res back up, but Tomas will be lost to Drip in the process, so things still going to be equal. Counting for that earlier frag, they were able to get onto Sweater. Yes, Melted started us off well, but Surf is going to start to send things back down to earth here for Mirage. Guerrera tries to make up for it, but no, Anthony trades us back again. No one can seem to maintain an advantage here, as at the moment it's Beast Coast holding it, but just barely at a 3v2.
Marmalade's quite injured as well. Melted with an opportunity, but oh, he misses crucial shots, and it'll slip through his fingers, John. Beast Coast still have the man advantage.
Great opportunity for Mirage to come back into that round yet again, but with the call going out that the case was down, more than likely made the same call to bring Anthony and the rest of the team back into sight here. Marm find an angle against Drip. She gets it down. She won't necessarily notice that, however, under these circumstances, but there you go. Marm now getting the reconfirmation, and Drip does fully go into a dead state here. Anthony, though, with the reply, immediately knocks out Marm on a trade, leaving Melted alone, still with no case control either. Needs to move. Oh man, there's a Banshee sitting on top of it as well, but thankfully he's got to go on 6, so we'll be able to remove that. Don't want to step on that. You already saw one of your teammates make that mistake. As he creeps forward here, will get himself access to the site. Tries to chuck a drone up on top too, and is going to attempt to really quickly position this. You know how dangerous that is in a 1vx. He's now relying on his teammates to call out these pushes from the members of Beast Coast, and it'll be a successful play as Melted catches the first swing, but gets him to jitter a little bit too early here, as unfortunately he's thrown off of it. No one actually pushes him out. The comms will come in once again, but can they find him? The plant nearly there. He gets it, but he's also immediately knocked out. Surf gets yet another kill, and Beast Coast will equalize at the end of the half at a 3-3 score.
I mean, it was so close there for Christian. He just didn't know what decision to make. Once they kind of have that fake out moment with the Tachanka where he starts to kind of pressure the room and he gets off that plant and tries to go challenge, he kind of gets locked up there. He's like, okay, do I go push him? Do I go back and try and plant? What happens here? In the the entire time that that situation's devolving, Surf is rotating around through customs to come back up into vents and stop that round dead in its tracks. So very well done from Beast Coast to recognize the positioning and know what they needed to do in that situation, because both of you challenging him heads up is really not going to get you that much at the end of the day. There's a huge potential for him to win out that engagement. So I really like the way that Beast Coast handled that one.
Beast Coast seemingly needing just that wake-up call inside of the tactical pause for them to take control of this matchup. We'll see if that pause continues to bear fruit for this team, as now they move on to the second half, onto the second side, of course, for this game. They will now be on the attack, where oftentimes teams are tested to a much greater degree than on their defense. Time to see if Beast Coast can keep this lead, now newly gained, potentially under their control, or if Mirage will try to take it for themselves yet again and look for this upset victory. Keep in mind, once more, not even fielding their full roster inside of this matchup, with the coach currently filling in.
Well, with that being said, everything's flip-flopped now as Mirage will start things off on the defensive side. And they'll have quite a few interesting characters here. Tommy with one of the most interesting runouts that we've had all day.
I want that drone.
Give me your drones. You're not having information. It's all mine. Oh, Sweater. Speaking of taking things, Mirage want to take away that health bar as Melted continues to tag up the Beast Coast roster.
Slash now looking for a potential chance to respond to that spray that came in from Melted, but not going to get it. He's had his fun with that jump-up position, and I don't believe he's going to be able to rationalize heading up there a second time, as it'd be easy for Slash to take him out with the current angle he's holding. Sweater, a little bit scared of the situation, too, holding out over by the east stairs here, just inside of the doorway, to make sure no more shenanigans are going to be thrown at him by Mirage. Melted, in the meanwhile, still drone hunting here, trying to make sure he doesn't peek up too much, as he is priority target #1 at the moment here for the members of Beast Coast. It takes him a while to isolate that drone and kill it, but he does finally get the job done, and he's going to be able to secure another kill behind it. So great work coming in from him. Unfortunately, though, Surf picked up his teammate, but the good news is he's just found Surf on the response, bringing it down to a 4v3 and being a massive distraction as well. Melted doing some fantastic work. It's another triple kill for him. He's going to try to make another quad as well, as he's got at least one more challenger heading his way, but finally, Drip is able to best him with the 5.56.
Took some time, and now Melted more kills than every single member on his team combined, as he's putting everyone in a backpack, at least for the moment, but Mirage won't be able to lean into him any longer inside of this 2 versus 3 engagement. Drip has found some space inside of the office side, begin opening the single panel for archives, but Tommy has the crosshair. His positioning as of right now is paramount to Mirage's success. It could go either way here. This is getting very worrisome as to how this is looked at. Are they going to allow him to creep up? It's Marmalade from the side instead, and I do believe that the last Beast Coast member is actually downstairs, and yes, indeed, he is. Anthony will be inside of server for the time being and looking to try and traverse the metal stairs.
Having to be careful with quite literally every step he takes here, and unfortunately, even with that caution, he'll still have a barbed wire sitting in front of him, so it's all futile at the end of the day. Going 6 makes it a quick clear, but it's also a quick kill for Thomas as he ascends that staircase. More than ready for the challenge, and it's going to be Mirage once again, and surprisingly so, taking control of the scoreline here at 4-3.
I'm gonna be honest, I think you gotta stop giving Melted the disjointed one-on-ones. I know you're trying to.
Might be a good idea.
I know you're trying to trade out your teammates, but, and hey, I'm just saying, maybe play a little bit closer together in order to do so. Taking that little 5 seconds in between those engagements makes it so easy for Melted to just keep rolling those over time and time again. I mean, what was that inside of CCTV? A triple? It's just so gross. And the fact that none of the Beast Coast members played close enough to each other in order to capitalize on him having to take one of those gunfights, that's really where it starts to rub me the wrong way. There's so many ways that you can enact yourself upon CCTV as well. I mean, you have an entire other soft wall, there's another door, there's a window, there's so many ways to apply pressure to Melted in that position, and they did literally none of it.
So for Melted, he will continue to excel in those defensive positions as long as Beast Coast oblige and continue to give him those attached 1v1s that you were talking about, currently leading, like you said, with more kills than every single member of his team combined at this point. They might have actually changed a bit since the round ended. Trying to do some quick math.
7, 8, 9, 10, 15. So he's 2 down.
2 behind, yeah.
2 down.
But he was at that point.
Indeed.
A few rounds back. So still a very impressive scoreline for Melted when you compare it to pretty much every other member of the server right now. And Melted trying to push the envelope a little bit here. Nearly pays the price for it. But again, you've got to give Melted props. He knows when he's been beaten, backs away from that fight before he overcommits and loses his life.
Yeah, the big thing is like you can do all the silly things you want initially, just please don't die.
Yeah.
Your team needs you so much. And the good news is that, well, he's gotten them to burn an initial adrenal surge. And since everybody's at full HP, all except for Sweater who got tagged up, all of that extra HP is actually going to burn off. So it's not going to be something that's going to help them going forward. If anything, it just helps Sweater stay alive.
Melted, ready for a new challenge. Won't find anyone on the other end of the door, though, even though it was just popped open by an opponent. So he'll have to try and look for a way to use that later. Hot pings are coming into the player up above him. This is going to be off the mark, I'm pretty sure. Oh, no! Slash toys around inside of security for just a bit too long. And that allows for Tomas to get the nitro off and take him down. Slash knocked out as the first player down inside of this round. Still 4 players from Beast Coast ready to party, though.
Nice.
But now another one going to be knocked out by Tomas as well. It's him that's causing the problem. We saw it inside of this very room. It was melted inside of the previous round, but now it's Tomas just swimming his way through the entire Beast Coast roster here, taking down yet another member of the team before finally getting traded by Drip.
Well, who needs...
that was like literally the same thing Melted did in the previous round. He just reran it. Like
I literally was about to say, well, who needs a Melted when you have a Tommy? They're interchangeable.
Almost the same positions where he got the kills and everything. Like that was literally just a rerun of the last round's opener.
Yeah, the only thing that changes up there is the fact that Tommy got a vertical kill with a nitro cell. Past that, he goes up metal and still takes all the fights in CCTV, and Beast Coast run into the exact same problem. They're not taking map control together, and they're losing disjointed fights. But now for Beast Coast, they still do have an opportunity, and they have Drip and Anthony in order to try and achieve success here for the last minute of round 8. Some fantastic crosses adopted Mirage's play, though, and this could be problematic at the end of the day, especially with Melted's current positioning up top inside of Square. Drip now pushes in to try and get a plant down, but he'll quickly die to Benji. Anthony hops through, Marmalade for the kill, and Mirage, I mean, they're having a ball.
Yeah, with a 2-round lead now built up in their favor as well. A comfortable ball being played by them at this point, and we just have to see if they can push it all the way. 2 more rounds, I believe, is all they need, and indeed that is the case. So we'll see if they can get it done, as now they need to figure out where to take this. Looks like Customs is up on deck for them as they continue to excel here, and Beast Coast continue to flounder in the middle of these rounds just due to simple positioning errors more than anything else.
Yeah, but we don't want to talk about that. Mirage, you're doing great, sweetie. You are doing so well. You're the only team in the entirety of the NAL where I'm like, you know what? I'm happy if you upset my pick. You know, we're trying so hard to beat this coin, but you know, not only that, it's aligned with us on this, but it would be fantastic to see you guys get another win under your belt, and hopefully so. I mean, Beast Coast more than likely have some stuff to say about it, but Tommy might have some stuff to say about this poll, as Drip is going to edge him out by 10%.
It's actually a very close poll. Surprised at the result, but apparently Drip's fan club is strong today, so they take the cake on that poll. They'll win it by about 10%, like you said. So Mirage looking to win.
Drip's Kitten Club, is that what it is?
Yeah, I don't even know. I really hope that's what it's called now.
It better be. Copyrighted. Stolen Drip.
They're looking to close out on this game with just 2 more rounds, and already we can see the confidence brimming from them. Benji leaning out to go for some early spawn peaks here inside of CCTV. Nothing to be found from it, however, so he quickly backs away from it. Beast Coast, in the meanwhile, are going to find a suspiciously clean CCTV, except, of course, for that player out in the 90 hallway. So that'll become probably a pretty quick target for Beast Coast to prioritize here, as it'll definitely serve their purposes of assaulting the site down below.
Well, you're absolutely right about it being suspiciously clear, because there's kind of, you know, a lot. It's fake emptiness at the end of the day is kind of what I'm getting at. Like, there's a lot of angles that are abusable from Mirage that aren't on the same plane of existence. They're actually downstairs for the window and other things, and that thing, or rather, that just makes it overly complicated for Beast Coast to try and push into that and manage all of those all at once, especially with Mirage still having some members around the top floor that could potentially also throw a spanner into the works. We'll have to see how this goes, but some fire nades out as Tachanka will try and reinsert themselves back into CCTV. They've gotten this for the time being, but there's still so much time for Beast Coast to process this.
This is a cautious dance. The Thomas has to flirt himself into here, but Surf, thankfully, is going to be available to help him out. Melted now being taken down here as he takes him down. Sweater in the meanwhile able to find another one as well, and that's the upstairs hold now gone. So unfortunately, the advancement from Tomas ends up hurting Mirage here more than it necessarily helps them. Finally, Beast Coast get the clearance out of the way, bring it down to a 5v3, and can now focus on getting site access. Benji was in the area upstairs, but as you guys just saw, doesn't want any of this fight anymore. He's backed up and rotating himself downstairs into the site as they need to hold on to the remaining territory since there's still over a minute to go.
Back to the drone game to see where the remainder of these Mirage members lie. Only 3 of them at the current moment, and Marmalade attempting to get active inside of Customs for the time being. And very close attention to the front door. She has the potential to win this out, but she can't hit the flick. Surf will get it instead. Pre-fires down Guerra as they had the mark. It's going to be a triple for him on the round, and more than likely the plant for Drip. Benji, not a lot to say about this round. There's nothing he can really do besides drop the hatch. He doesn't have any soft destruction either, and that's going to be the first flawless round for Beast Coast.
Much cleaner that time from Beast Coast, able to actually isolate out those CCTV players along with any additional roamers, bring it down to a 5v3, and then it's pretty straightforward from there. Just assault the site, trade your way to a win. Easy peasy does it for those boys, and they take control finally of another round. They were just about to take the lead a few back, but now it's Mirage in control. Will they stay that way, or is Beast Coast going to run the gauntlet themselves here with the second round too?
That was such a strong showcase of Beast Coast's ability instead of that round to slow things down on pacing and have Mirage kind of second guess where your positioning is across the map. That's how they got that to go off. You know, all of Mirage is trying to extend themselves out to different facets of the map, and Beast Coast are able to slip right through the cracks, get in the back door, and take out a very critical Mirage member. I mean, I'm sure that you saw it, but as soon as that death happens, I believe we have Benji on the Oryx that's just dashing across the top floor, trying to get over there and pick up the pieces and make sure that they hold on to the map control because of the way that Beast Coast ended up playing out that round. So very well done from them. Let's see if they can continue on this reign into round 10.
Things continuing to look good for the Beast Coast roster as they finally take a solid round for themselves back on round number 9 and have very little difficulty clearing out the setups for Mirage in the process. Question now for Mirage is, what do they change up? What do they bring to bear that is potentially new here in order to save themselves in this round and potentially trigger that's 6 out of 7 rounds they'll need to be victorious. Melted once again waiting on the jump up here, but now due to the timing, needs to be a little careful. Shots coming in from behind him. He'll have to dismount that position more than likely and just take his standard spot over here by the hatch.
Sorry for my little giddy laugh, by the way. I just found out something about Melted that is pretty funny. Would you like to hear?
Yeah, go ahead.
Before this match started, you obviously know that TSM just got done with their game, right?
Correct.
Wouldn't you know that Melted just so happened to have sniffed Bolo's chair before playing the game? So, I mean, there could be, I don't know, some special sauce, probably some pink eye, but definitely some special sauce that's giving it to Melted and making it to where he's playing just so strong today.
All right, I have no comment. Moving on, Melted already trying to take this first fight here out the southern doorway leading into CCTV. Sees a few tracers coming back in from the other doorway leading out towards lockers, so he's going to be a little cautious of that and start to peel himself away, potentially getting ready to jump down the hatch. Anthony trying to sneak in the Gemini, but it won't work out. Tomas gets revenge for the last round as he takes out Sweater, and Melted still alive and well here in CCTV. We're nearly halfway through the round already. Beast Coast have to speed this up a little bit, but also not fall into the trap of what happened on the 2 rounds prior and allow Melted to get a triple here. Tomas, though, helping him out, is going to make sure that maybe he can get the triple instead of his teammate here, as now he takes down Surf, bringing Beast Coast attacking roster to a shell of its former self yet again. Nades coming out, finally going to flush Thomas out into the open here, but they still have that one other player, Melted, to deal with.
So problematic for Beast Coast as they continue to run into the exact same obstacle and simply cannot find a way past it. Melted has to worry about a potential of 2 BC members working their way in from the break room area. Another one crouch walking up, more than likely knowing that he's managing the angle. But Anthony, he's just walking too slow, John. He doesn't actually swing. He's just letting half of his hitbox be exposed while he also doesn't have any vision on the back end of the building. And finally, someone's going to come to this side of the balcony. Drip has the potential to try and assist with Melted here, but it's so far gone at this point. They need to try and push in from one side. Slash will win it out against Melted. Some serious damage on to Benji, and for all intents and purposes, this is winnable.
30 seconds now on the clock for Beast Coast to make their insertion. Going to be able to try and open up the wall, though one of the Selmas will get wasted out here by a drip, and he's out of them now. So can only use that singular breach that he was just working on with his team to get access, or even have any post-plant angles. We're going to see, though, the Toxic Babes just bleeding out from Guerra right now, as he's only able to use them at this very late point of the round. So constantly holding back the tide from Beast Coast. Beast Coast can't really swing past this directly, at least Drip can. Guerra waiting, but he misses that initial pump. He's going to correct it, though, and pick up that first kill. Benji helping him out for the second, and it's the penultimate round now on the board for Mirage, as they only need one more to secure a massive upset versus Beast Coast.
Words I did not think I was going to hear from my co-commentator today. Mirage, not only ahead, but on the precipice of taking a map off of Beast Coast, who have looked quite strong for a lot of Stage 1. They've been the upset machine as well, you could say, especially initially, but it looks like it's just not coming together today. Beast Coast have been caught off guard time and time again, especially by Mirage's defensive setups, and they don't have an answer at the current moment. The biggest issue is that Mirage has been able to win out a lot of these situations just due to their man advantage. Beast Coast are giving up too many bodies early on, and there's no way to try and pull it back.
So, Beast Coast, this is it, your only opportunity to pull it back. Not only do you need this round, but you need the follow-up as well. I don't believe Beast Coast has been able to win more than a single round in this half. Potentially in the first half we saw it.
Indeed, it's split 3-3.
Yeah, so it's split 3-3, so no consecutive victories coming in for them there either. This is a tough task now for Beast Coast to be able to pull off. And they got the crowd working against them now, too, because Mirage has the possibility of keeping the 7-4 train alive. So
yes, they do.
For the meme, everybody's going to want that to keep going.
Yeah, I was literally saying that during the 3-3 split. I was like, we have the potential to get back to having a 7-4, and we're back to reality. We were just lost in the Matrix there for just a second, a little limbo. No worries, folks. And also, for some of you that are potentially newer viewers, don't worry. It doesn't affect a single player inside of the game. Just happens every
just makes them
once
question
in a
reality.
while. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It just makes them question their own existence. That's all it does.
We'll get Neil Patrick Harris on that immediately.
But either way, though, Mirage have a pretty strong setup coming into this. I like that Tommy is back onto the, why did I want to say Maverick? The Mozzie there, that will use these pests to try and slow down a lot of this drone game, as well as has a Nitro Cell in his back pocket that could possibly run amok, just like he did in a very similar position previously.
Going to continue to see Beast Coast analyze their options for an initial entry, and we'll see Surf actually be one of the first to try and work their way in. It's going to push back some of this presence inside of Archives, primarily from Mirage, but they're not going to give those positions up.
Oh, Tommy got it on East.
Yeah, on East Main. Tomas working his way up the stairs, able to find Sweater, descending them, knocking him out, and once again, it is Mirage, and once again, it is Tomas on top of Melted, playing the early round beautifully here and getting that opening kill.
I love that Tommy has been activated in this game. Initially, it was kind of a slow start, but as soon as he noted that Melted was starting to pop off, he has just put his foot on this gas, and he has not let up. He is taking the challenge to Beast Coast, and they are winning out so many engagements, but has Surf finally had enough? He'll be able to take down Melted, has one more to worry about. The concussion out will be a hallmark that somebody is there, but he's not going to try and progress any farther forward. Beast Coast, as of right now, have been stunted for growth as they try and find another avenue to work their way towards sight.
Sort of a great makeup from him. Another play that we haven't talked about a whole lot. Haven't been talking about a lot of the positives from Beast Coast, because we've been so obsessed, it seems, with the upset potential from Mirage. But Surf, as we kind of have expected at this point in the stage, bringing a great performance to bear, but it might just be a little bit too worse when compared to Tomas, as he takes yet another target down, and that target was carrying the case. Might not have noticed it just yet, but now he's going to go for another one. Sidearm kill as well. It's down to just Anthony in the 1vx. Gets his first for free against Benji, but where does he go from here? Tomas up next. He'll claim that one too. Already finding 2 frags. Just needs to double it, and he'll keep his team's chances alive to win this game. The flash potentially allows him to go for the cross, but no follow-up. That was his only flash in his pocket as well. The only piece of utility he had available. Now wasted, unfortunately, trying to see if he could suss out some movement from Mirage, play off of that sound intel, but nothing. Not a peep of movement that he would have been able to detect. The good news is, yeah, he's got access to the case. That means he potentially has access to a plant. The bad news, time is ticking down very, very quickly. 15 seconds left for him to try and at least start the defusal plant process. And even worse for him here, Marm is slowly opening up a flanked angle. As soon as he hard commits, that should be an easy pick for Marm to end the game outright. Keep the 7-4 train alive, but it's not even going to be needed for Marm. It's Garrett to do it. The coach shuts it down, and Mirage pulls off the upset.
Congratulations to Mirage. Mirage. You can see how ecstatic they are on their faces, and all with the lack of Razor on the roster, who was the most potent player in the entirety of